What I'm presenting to you today is a presentation that I do behind closed doors. And I thought, well, this is pretty silly. I want to share with you and whoever wants to listen to Make It Click the benefits of having your own show, of having your own podcast. Now, last week on Make It Click, my guest was Naomi Barris, who she helps her clients to become guests on podcasts. So if you're interested in that, check that episode out. Today, I am sharing with you why you need to have your own show. Okay. And it's what I'm doing here. This is my show. And I got to decide to do it without a guest today. That's one of the benefits. But before we even get there, all right, let's, you know, when we're talking about stages, this is a stage. You need to get out and speak. So maybe you're speaking at a live event on a stage. Maybe it's an online event, and that's still they're all stages. A summit, and really any kind of event. Now there are different types of shows. Some people have a TV show. Some people have just a podcast. That's the audio only. What I'm doing here is a video cast. I'm starting as a video. Now, what do you call it? Podcast, vodcast? Choose a name. I don't know. But this version of podcasting starts with a video, right? And so, when there are shows, you can either be the guest or you can host your own show. And you think, oh, having your own show, why do you want to do that? It's so much work and it's just better off being on somebody else's show. Well, I'm here today to share a few benefits that maybe you hadn't thought about. Okay. So, just like being a guest on a show, when you have your own show, you can build your credibility and authority in your niche. You have more time. You decide how long of an episode that you want to have, right? Um, you can show people how you can think on your feet, as I'm doing right now. You can repurpose high performing content. If you're saying, but I don't know what to talk about, if you're just doing a solo podcast, you say, I don't know what to talk about. Well, you're probably creating some sort of content already in the form of maybe a blog post, maybe, just saying. You can turn the blog post into an episode. And that's the thing. If you haven't heard about repurposing content, start in one place and then turn it into all the other forms. Now, me, I kind of prefer to start with video. It's easier than sitting and writing an article. Well, for me, it is. Maybe you enjoy the writing first. Um, it this can save you some time though in the creative process. And this can be for a video cast or just the audio podcast. It can save you time in that as you're speaking, you're creating that content. You don't have to have it all written out, just maybe some highlights, as I do here on my notes, right? Um, so it can also reach a whole new audience because this is now I'm talking like the video here. Social media likes video over the written content or maybe just audio. So if you're doing your own show, just yourself, it will help to get to a wider audience. But if you choose to have a guest, as I normally do, you can reach their audience also. Okay. And that's the thing too. Not everybody learns the same way. Just like, some people prefer a lecture because they're auditory learners. Others need a slideshow. so they can take notes, because they're visual learners, and others would just rather be left alone with a book, right? Well, when you create the written content, you're only able to reach the audience that likes to read, right? If somebody's not into that, they're not going to take the time to get your brilliance, right? By adding this other dimension, through the audio content, you're able to reach a whole new audience that's just as interested in what you have to say, right? You can create a deeper connection with your audience because you see me, right? You hear me, you hear my voice. Again, your written voice is one thing, but your actual speaking voice, think about how many emails you get and you're reading it, maybe it's from a friend or a family member, and you're not quite sure of the tone of what they're saying to you. Well, with a podcast, there's almost no question about the tone of what is being said. I'm going to say almost because nothing's perfect, right? So you'll create that deep connection with your audience if you sound just like you do in your writing. It's all about keeping a consistent brand voice throughout every content platform. Again, it's easier to start with just speaking. You'll have more time to make a connection. Most blog posts are between 750 and 1,500 words, depending on the topic and the author. With a podcast, you're able to fit a lot more information into a single episode. With blog posts, the readers often skim through the content to get the main idea. I know I do. I want to see the highlights. Is this something I want to read in detail? Podcasts help you to better capture more of your audience's attention for a longer amount of time. You can connect with influencers and others in your industry. You can connect with other bloggers and business owners and have featuring them on your podcast. Interview other professionals in your industry. Give them a chance to connect with new audiences while you're connecting with theirs. And you're connecting with theirs with the technology that you're using. With this technology that I'm using today, I am then able to connect with my guests' audience, and that's a whole other topic of how all of this works. I just want to share with you the benefits and things you might not think about when it comes to podcasting. So you say, okay, I'm starting to think, yeah, I think this is what I want to do. So you're wondering, like, well, how do I get started? What do I need? So, first of all, you need to know the goal of your show. Is it going to be a traditional podcast, the audio only that goes up on the iTunes and the Spotifys and whatnot? And yes, there are services out there that help get you to be a number one show. And there too, that it depends on how much money you want to invest. Um, and are you going to be hoping that people go to your website after they listen to it? First they have to find you, then they listen, then, hopefully they'll go to your website. So that's a traditional audio only. You have to decide what's important to you, okay? Is it about getting those listeners on the traditional outlet, which is fine. Again, everybody has their own goal in mind, but these are things to be thinking about. Is it about your guests and maybe collaborating with your guests on something or giving referrals back and forth? There's really unlimited opportunities. And think about having a guest on your show. Sometimes it could be similar to, oh, let's get together and have a coffee chat and learn more about each other. That's not what you want to do on a show, but I'm just saying it gives you an opportunity to get to know them better, and they get to know you a little bit better, and it opens the door to more conversations. Or is the goal again about your listeners, okay? Is it that and well, really all everything you do on your show should be about your listeners. You wanna educate. You want to give them some nugget of information to help them, and that's what podcasting is the core of it is to help the audience in some way with whatever the focus is of your show. Again, with the listeners, is it to increase likes, with your show, increase downloads and shares, and again, going to your website? You decide what that goal is. Talking about show formats, okay? So just like TV, you have sitcoms, you got drama, talk shows, news. When you have your own podcast, there are different formats, and the first one being the interview, which is what I do on most of my episodes. I bring a guest on and I interview my guest. It's a interview, but it's a conversation. It's merely a conversation. And I think this is the most common format. And it could be, a consistent host or maybe you co-host with somebody else and switch up. But you're talking to a new guest on each episode. Okay. Again, the guests can vary, but the theme of your whole show is seen throughout every episode, okay? There's the conversational, where it's kind of a co-hosted format, and that's where my other show, Soapbox Wisdom, comes in, that I co-host with Barbara Menino. It's just the 2 of us on every episode talking about a particular topic. Um, and this is, again, very doable, okay? There's the educational, and it's kinda similar to the interview, or the conversational, podcast, but focuses on teaching a topic, okay? There's the solo podcast, and that again, you can do that all the time, or you could switch up any one of these. It's doing it yourself, not relying on having to get a guest in. It's an easy way to start. You put all the pieces together behind the scenes, and you can get started without needing to bring somebody else into the picture. All you need is an idea, right? The idea, the focus of your show. And you can repurpose that content too. Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Recording and broadcasting, again, depends on which way you decide to go. The traditional podcast is audio only, so all you have to do is record audio. Many people use Zoom even to record that audio. You record, you edit, you publish. That's very simple, right? Now, if you want the video, similar to what I'm doing, the other benefit of doing this, like mentioned earlier, is how wide the broadcast goes. It's going to all of my social media platforms. When my guests connect their social media platforms to the same broadcast, it's going to their audiences too. So it's, your Facebook profile, your Facebook business page, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say Twitter. I should say X. And there's many others with the technology that I use that are available, although it's not where I hang out. So I choose not to broadcast to those. And it has immediate visibility. That's why I say to my guests, when you come on my show, we're doing a live video broadcast, immediate visibility. You're not recording and waiting a few weeks or a few months till it goes live. Repurpose the video. Whether it's you alone or with a guest, you can repurpose it into a blog. You can take snippets apart and create social media posts. You can take and send everything to YouTube. That's one of the destinations. Send it, and you're building a library of videos. Let your email list know every time you have a new episode. And then you upload the audio to the podcast host site. So you record your video in one area and then take the audio and just upload it to a podcast site. If you're using the easy tools for you, you don't even have to edit anything, okay? You can start simple and add little pieces along the way. You don't have to have everything going at once. And then on that audio site also, you add links to your website. So in the episode description, if people like what they're hearing and they want to get a call with you, you put those links in that description so that they can do that. So I'm taking longer than I had wanted to here. So I want to leave you with this. First, research current shows. Okay. See what's out there now and get a feel for the length. Again, it doesn't have to be long. 15 to 20 minutes is my average. Anything longer, and it's difficult to have your listeners listen to the whole thing. Okay. Think about yourself. Think about what you're prone to do. Okay. If you're not going to listen to an hour show, would your listeners? Just think about that. And I like to say, if you like to have a conversation with people, if you are meeting for these coffee chats to get to know each other better, you've got a show. You're able to carry on a conversation online. If you have some genius, some brilliance that the world needs to hear, you have a show. If you need to generate leads, and I assume you do, if you're in business, you need to generate leads. Hosting your own show will help you to do that. Okay. And this is what I like. If you're tired of following other people's rules, it's their stage, it's their summit, their Facebook Live, their fill in the blank, then hosting your own show is for you, because you get to make the rules. It's all yours. And when you do this video, it's immediate visibility. You get to meet so many interesting people when you have guests on your show. People are always looking for a podcast to be on, right? So it's not difficult to fill that guest spot. So if this interests you, and I hope it does, and it's left you thinking, but I need more information on, okay, I'd really like to know how to make all this happen. Send me a DM. Or you could book a call with me at callchristiner.com. Go to that link, get on my calendar. I'd be happy to talk to you and show you how easy it is to get your own show going at a very low cost. Keep it low. Don't jump into any programs that you're going to be paying a lot of money each month. If you're not monetizing that, you can do this yourself. It is totally possible. So I hope that you found benefit in this. If you did, please share the video, leave me a comment. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on hosting your own podcast.